high. What was on? What song was it?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac.
Where do we go with somebody that will tell those things? Yes.
And that was a story she told to Charlamagne the God.
Foundation. It was run-of-the-mill. She got some advantages when it came to running.
Hello, everyone. Kaylee on the spot here. Thanks for tuning in. Judge Joe Brown drops a bombshell interview on Comrade Scamala Harris, a politician that somehow turned into the 2024 presidential candidate. According to Judge Joe Brown, she's lazy. She's not a courtroom genius. So how did she become the presidential candidate? Was it a stroke of luck, or was it a stroke of Willie Brown? We're going to let Judge Joe Brown tell us. Let's get into it.
Maybe you could answer the question most of America is asking outside the Democratic Party or Oprah Winfrey at the DNC. Who is Kamala Harris?
She's a fraud.
In what respect?
She is an image that's been carefully crafted. You can start with what she is. She has a certain paint job, but that doesn't make her what she claims.
I like to ask that person in the back, is Judge Joe Brown spreading misinformation as well?
And we have somebody that has a fabricated reality. I was just mentioning it a minute or two ago. She talks about she was that child on the bus integrating the schools. And if this was in California, I don't get it, because at that point I was a school teacher in LA, California, and we didn't have segregated schools.
Ooh, fact check 101. Where is Lindsay or David when you need them?
I was a playground director with the city school system. We didn't have segregated schools in the entirety of California. Both of my parents were school teachers. What they did is they shuffled the teachers around, but
right,
you went to school in your neighborhood. So I don't know where that study came in.
So
smoking dope in the dorm rooms, listening to Tupac. He was 11 years old when she was in the dorms, and when he cut his first single or release, he was 21, and she was a prosecutor in Alameda County, California.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in college,
I inhale. I did inhale.
Okay. What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was it?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac.
Best rapper alive.
Tupac.
He's not a, you say he lives on.
But not a lot. I know. I keep just.
You said, listen, West Coast girls think Tupac lives on. I'm with you. So Tupac, keep going.
Keep doing that. Who would I say? I mean, there's so many. I mean, you know, there are some that I would not mention right now because they should stay in their lane. But others, I
don't know what that means. I want to know who one of those are.
Keep moving.
Okay,
Keep moving, Angela.
All right. That was not supposed to be a stumper either. What about
that was a story she
Where
told.
do we go with somebody that will tell those things? Yes.
And that was a story she told to Charlamagne the God.
Foundation.
He has said a lot about Scamala Harris, and he still has more to say. But yet, this is what we currently see, because no one knows who she is. She just popped out of the air. And we have people saying, yeah, we're going for Kamala, yeah. But you don't even know what she represents. All you know is that she's black and is that she's a woman. But this is the information that we need everyone to see, because Judge Joe Brown has been around the block and back and to and fro. So word from the wise.
So when she goes to Howard, she graduates, becomes a lawyer, and becomes a DA. What kind of DA was she?
She was run-of-the-mill. She got some advantages when it came to running. She had a boss that she clashed with in the end to run against him after she disappeared for a couple of years. Nobody quite knows when.
Notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle. flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women, and fast cars.
You should from now on address me as the mayor.
If ever a man and a municipality were made for each other, it is this man, this place.
So what happens between 1998 and 2004? What is she up to? How does she finance the run? Well, she's with Willie Brown, the mayor of San Francisco, who had been head of the Democratic Party caucus in Sacramento. And he got her a job when she was in her 20s, where she was supposed to nominally be working 15 hours a week, but actually it amounted to 1 or 2 appearances a month. And she was getting paid $72,000 a year for that. And then he ramped it up so she got more than $120,000 being on a medical advisory committee, where most of the rest of the committee members were all 70 or above, because they'd had a lifetime in the field of medicine, which she did not. So she got $120,000 a year to finance what became a campaign for Attorney General in the San Francisco area. Now, that said, we have to deal with One West Bank to get past that point. George Soros had become the major investor in One West Bank. Now, I had some neighbors that were losing their properties because of this mortgage fraud
that we all experienced as a country, right?
The foreclosure thing.
That whole, the whole 2008.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, this got so bad that One West Bank, with Mnuchin, who was the CEO for the bank, being involved in this, there were a bit more than 5,200 counts of felony indictments returned against the bank and Mnuchin. One of the people involved, a lady, I think her name was Edwards, what wound up happening is Soros and others financed her run for California's spot as Attorney General. She got elected, and the first thing she did was use her authority to consolidate all 5,200 counts of indictment, and she dismissed them, and Soros sold One West Bank for between $3.5 and $4 billion a few weeks later.
So,
Brian, I didn't want to say it at first, but will you please let the man talk? You're doing it. You're interviewing him. Let him talk. You don't even know who he's with. Are you with Kamala? Is that why you don't want him to tell everyone all is there? Let him talk, man.
And Soros and Mnuchin and others financed her run for U.S. Senate.
A couple of things I want to bring up too, in terms of being tough on crime, and like we're going to look at that West Bank thing should be looked into. I hear that, but when you talk about being tough on crime, she proposed a bill in 2005 that essentially would allow you to be arrested 3 times before you actually went to jail. The police chief at that time pushed back on it and says, I can't buy. Heather Fong served as police chief until 2009, says proposal is ridiculous. So when she says she was tough on crime, tough on the border, it doesn't seem in many respects her record reflects that. Is that the, what did you find, Judge?
Great question.
That's like her being bused to school and her smoking dope in the dorm listening to Tupac. It's a fabrication. You put your finger up in there and see which way the wind's blowing, and that's what you try to do. Actually, her prosecutorial experience was an unmitigated disaster.
Good point,
I just interviewed.
Because also, guys, it just came out, if I find the clip, I'll put it right here, that her speech, we're going forward, we're not going back, is a communist slogan. A communist slogan says we're not going back, we're going forward. I will put it right here for you to review. Just another point on top of that. You can bring communism in, but you cannot take communism out. So we really, 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 really need to be reconsidering. We need to be doing research, and we need to be doing a lot of really, really more research, because we're not going back, we're going forward is not it. Disastrous track record.
A woman that was inappropriately caught up in that truancy thing for adults. A 9-year-old girl was caused to have a stroke, became paralyzed, and at 22 is still not fully recovered.
So, Judge, just tell everyone, just run out of time. Just real quick, what everyone said, it was, for example, if you cut school, they were actually pressing charges on parents. That was her idea to stop truancy.
Except in this case, the woman wasn't involved in that. The child was suffering from acute complications from sickle cell disease and was in the hospital. But Kamala Harris sicked some press on the woman to wait outside her home while she was expecting assistance, and it turned out to be an arrest. And the girl was caused to have a stroke. You know, this kind of...
So how can she be the commander-in-chief if she has a failure track record from her state? California is the #1 state that residents are leaving. You want people that has returning customers, that has a good track record, that has a good economy in your area. California is a disaster. And while we're at it, Minnesota is, I believe, 7 or 8 on the list for residents leaving. So her running mate and her both have horrible track records from their residents. Joe Brown is from California. But then we have the world who, again, doesn't know who this lady is. That's Kamala. It's very scary.
Bad, and that's not what a prosecutor is supposed to be, because the prosecutor is supposed to deliver justice, which includes every now and then standing up and saying, Your Honor, in the interest of justice, the state wishes to dismiss these charges. And she never did that because she always played it to the camera.
And Judge, I've watched you could talk for hours on this, but just to summarize, the American people have gotten one interview with the vice president. Well, if she becomes president, says she hasn't forgotten her values, she hasn't changed. If she becomes president, what are her values? What kind of president will she be?
She's a fascist. You can see strength through joy. 90 years ago, last month, in Nazi Germany, they came up with a program, Strength Through Joy. And it was exactly the same as the one she's proposing. 90 years.
There you guys have it. That is your political update for today. Judge Joe Brown was dropping jewel after jewel after bombshell after jewel. And one thing that stuck out to me was she doesn't have any humanity, any love for the people. As a mother, as a woman, we are nurturers. That's just what we were born with. Nurturers. Kamala Harris doesn't show that love for the people. It all seems very fake and disingenuous, and it really does show. And it's not much more that she can pretend. It's coming out. It's coming out. You cannot pay your bills with optimism and joy. They have, oh, you should be so happy. Yes, you shouldn't be so down on yourself, and you have to do the work to get the reward. But if you're down, the groceries are high, you can't feed your family, you can't put gas in your car because it's so expensive. How can we be optimistic, or how can we be so joyful if one doesn't get paid to the following month, but we got 3 more weeks in this month? How does that work? So people, please reconsider. Do your research. Do your research, and the research that you find, go left, right. That's your decision. But I personally do not think, I think a lot of our women are voting with our heartstrings. You have to listen, and you have to really do your research, because women, you may be following her, but you have a spouse. If you don't have a spouse, you have a partner. If you don't have a partner, you have your child's father. So if this woman is not for men, and she expects it to be all of this different things, as a woman, how can you respect that? Because we are nothing without our men. We need our men put up on our shoulders and on a pedestal and not being stomped down into the ground. That's what this lady believes. She doesn't believe man, woman, child. And that's just how it's supposed to be. Man, woman, child. And if she's taking out your spouse, but yet you're saying you're voting for her, you're not. Please do your research. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I'm Kaylee on the spot, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you and have a great day.